I love doing prediction videos. The challenge is they don't age very well. And I did one at the end of last year where I was predicting rates to be in the mid fives by the end of 2026. And is that likely to happen right now? Boy, oh boy, man, what a difference each week has made. You know, the Fed met, they didn't cut the Fed funds rate, really nobody expected them to. But man, nobody liked what they had to say, especially if you were in the mortgage or real estate business. So let's jump right into rates here. 30-year fixed rates, man, they are just, this is parabolic. Like, look at, this is back on February 23rd. Let's even go to February 26th. And and I do these videos on Friday, usually so 20 days or so, 25 days, we are back up close to 6.5%, and that is just a huge. You got to go all the way back to really back in September to get rates where they're at right now. Why is that? Because one, obviously the Fed didn't cut the Fed funds rate, but more importantly, what they said about the market. And I want to look at the Fed rate tracker that I look at that kind of predicts what the market's going to do. And there's a huge difference, and I want to see if you can pick up on it. So right now, here's the prediction for the next meeting. 87.6% chance where the current Fed funds rate is expressed in a range is 3.5 to 3.75. Remember, these are not interest rates. This is the Fed funds rate. 87.6% chance that they're going to keep it the same. We go out to the June meeting. 80% chance they're going to keep it the same. And then we're going to go to the July meeting. 77% chance that they're going to keep it the same. But what do you notice that's big time different? What's different, and this is huge, and this shows you why rates are going up, these here are actually rate increases. Meaning normally when I do these videos, we look at the percentage of the market staying the same and what percentage that the Fed is going to cut. There's zero. They're pricing in 0% chance that the Fed will cut the Fed funds rate, and they're only looking at going forward the likelihood that the Fed will increase rates. That's important because we were pricing in three or four rate cuts in 2026, which is where I thought we would end up, which would probably put rates in the mid to upper sevens or mid to upper fives. That's not going to happen if we have a rate increase. In fact, if the market starts pricing in a rate increase, you're going to see rates go up even further. So we're going to see, because nobody knows, why is because if you look at obviously the conflict in Iran, there's a potential for oil to go up, inflation that could affect tariffs, and uncertainty, especially uncertainty around inflation, is going to keep the Fed more hawkish, potentially to raise rates, and very likely not to lower the Fed funds rate unless we started getting some serious unemployment, which that is not happening either. So what's likely to happen right now, you're going to get an extremely flat market with rates where rates are going to trickle up, and it's really going to be data dependent. If we end up, getting out of the Iran conflict sooner rather than later, we'll kind of see how that plays out. There's still a lot of fear of inflation even after that. It gets really, really difficult to predict the market when these kinds of things are going on. Now, one other thing that I thought was kind of interesting, I'm going to say some things about AI at the end of this video that I think you should pay attention to. But I always look at like what home flippers are doing. And when you look right here with home flippers, what they expect from the home flipping market in 2026 and beyond, and when you look at their expectation, it hasn't really changed as far as the market. They were predicting 45, 50% almost, that we were going to be in a very weak or somewhat weak market. But one thing about real estate investment is it's more likely the profit is made when you buy the property, or loss when you buy the property. And so they are showing here what their typical profit margins are when they do a flip, and they're still predicting 30% to 40% pretty much across the board. This bottom 20%. Usually the bottom 20% are people that should not be flipping houses, because if you don't understand the numbers, you can get crushed on a flip. So flippers understand that even in volatility, there's lots of opportunity to buy properties at the right price, and they're still predicting to have a profitable year, but less of them will, right? And there's going to be less entry points into those prices. And then on affordability, this last quick article, obviously as rates go up, hurts affordability. The top 20% of earners now hold nearly 60% of America's real estate wealth. And I thought this was amazing. If you just look at this top 11%, they own 28 trillion, 27 trillion, let's call it, of the total real estate market. And when you get past the 60 to 80th percentile, it's such a small percentage on the 50%, let's call it 50% percentile or less that own real estate. And that just makes sense, right? Obviously, the median prices went up, rates have went up, which hurts affordability, which means less and less people get into the market. So we really need rates to come down to kind of stabilize the market. And look, with the days of the internet where people can just get news instantly, when rates pop up like this, it scares people. People are worried about AI, worried about losing their jobs, worried about all kinds of things. And this is probably going to have a chilling effect on the market. Now, as far as AI goes, one of the things I spend a lot of time, we've successfully adopted AI in lots of different parts of our business. And if you're not paying attention to things like Claude Cowork, OpenClaw, some of these, like Gemini Gems, and you are missing the boat. Most people are just using their AI as like basically a glorified search engine, right? What you want to do, and if you don't get anything on this video, get this: take things and project manage them. If you don't have good systems in place, sit down and say, if I could have a system to do this, and put it piece by piece. Because when you put it piece by piece, that's where AI can take certain things off your plate. And if you look at things like OpenClaw and Claude Cowork, these are like actually real human beings almost working in your business. So project manage your business, figure out what are the steps, what can you automate, and then where is your authenticity, and then double down on that. That is the whole trick with AI. Don't use it as a search engine. Use it to take things off of your plate, because we are going to have to do that to survive, especially as real estate and the mortgage industry changes over the next few years, if not sooner. So we're going to track all this and more. Should be interesting. I think next 2 to 3 months, we'll see what happens with the Iran conflict, with some of the changes in the Fed, and ultimately, all this craziness. Hopefully we get it past this and we can get into a market that seems to be hopefully trending in the right direction again. Hey, everyone, this is Race Robinson, your favorite Florida mortgage broker. If you have any questions on this or anything else, reach out to me personally. Have a great day, great week, and I'll talk to you soon.